Document number 13, 14, and 15 are deferred. Cheralgei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to move the bill, the Employment Amendment Bill 2022. Mr. Speaker, this is the famous bill. Mr. Speaker, this bill has been covered by many international media houses, been called. This is the moment, Mr. Speaker, and
Senator
I want to...
Cheralgei, just go ahead and properly move the bill as appears in the order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to move for the second time the Employment Amendment Bill Employment Amendment Bill 2022. The bill be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, I want from the onset to say this is the bill that at some point in media, many other places, there has been a lot of misinformation. This is the bill called Right to Disconnect. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, the onset of remote working from home. Many people, Mr. Speaker, did not know the value of working from home until the COVID of 2019 came into place. And that is the famous word says, kindly work from home. Because they were discouraging people from coming to offices, Mr. Speaker, because of the challenge of the COVID at that time where crowd was being avoided, Mr. Speaker. So this bill is essentially about right to disconnect, and I want to put it from the onset, Kenya is not the only country that is pushing right to disconnect. Mr. Speaker, the rights of employees continue to grow by the day. Article 41 is in our Progressive Constitution 2010, talks about the rights of employees, Mr. Speaker, sir. One of the rights, we know the basic rights, like right to fair remuneration, right to good working conditions, right to employ. Mr. Speaker, this bill is coming at the right time because we are talking about the rights of employees. Even the famous conversation about the housing levy fund. When you look at section 31, is it 31 of the Employment Act, it says that every employer must provide a housing or a living quarters for their employees in a convenient working place, Mr. Speaker. So we are just expanding and enriching the working environment, Mr. Speaker, of our employees. This bill, it talks about the essential right to disconnect. Mr. Speaker, with the remote working environment, we need to protect right to privacy, right to family time, Mr. Speaker. A research that was done in US, you find younger management send the work of emails, SMSs, WhatsApp, assignments to employees beyond 5 p.m., Mr. Speaker. And therefore, this bill of right to disconnect will ensure that no worker or an employee is forced to work outside working hours without, Mr. Speaker, having an engagement or a structured engagement, Mr. Speaker. There are countries like France. In 2016, before even the onset of, Mr. Speaker, before the onset of COVID, of remote working, or right from working from home, Mr. Speaker, is they had passed this law of right to disconnect. There are many countries like Belgium, like Portugal. US is having a discussion. And I'm happy Kenya will become one of the first countries in Africa to enrich and right to disconnect. Mr. Speaker, Thursday is a public holiday, Mr. Speaker. Many young people have misinterpreted my bill to mean ni kwenda kupika sherehe. Say that from, Mr. Speaker, say that from Friday, and you know our senator, who is Senator Sifuna, is used to say in, during campaigns, and this is on a lighter touch, that he is the chairman of sherehe, kupiga sherehe when he was campaigning, Mr. Speaker. And maybe on a lighter note, that is why the reason Kenyans did not give them the votes. Because, Mr. Speaker, they imagine wataenda kupiga sherehe kila siku. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, that was on a lighter touch, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, many young people, when they saw this bill, they thought ni kupiga sherehe because from Friday to Monday, your employer is not supposed to call you. And I saw many of the funny things at the social media about this bill, Mr. Speaker. But we are saying critical care services like doctors who are on call, nurses, and many others, Mr. Speaker. And I think it is very important, Mr. Speaker, to be aware of such. And I think, Mr. Speaker, we need to agree that this bill will have a structure. I have seen Federation of Kenya Employers. They have been fighting my bill, Mr. Speaker. Central Organization of Trade Union, Mr. Speaker. And you know, Papa Atwali, we respect him so much. He's an elder in this country, Mr. Speaker. And therefore...
What's your intervention? What's your point of order, Senator Joe Newton?
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I raise pursuant to Standing Order number 41.